Hi everybody, it's Maureen Wong with mycasestudies.blogspot.com. Today I have a tip for you. It's not going to be quick, but it's still in my tip series. I don't have a finished project, I just have a tip for you for using layering stamps. So I have this one from Altenew called Prettiest Pomander, and it has a guide to show you how to line up the stamps in their different layers. And this is very helpful, but I found while playing with this particular set that I was having a really hard time, especially with these last little tiny bits. I was actually right off the bat trying to do a no-line version, and without the outlines it was kind of hard to line everything up. And then it was just almost impossible to do these last little bits. So I came up with an idea to make like template cards. And it's sort of like, if you're familiar with the Concord and Ninth turnabouts, they just came out with these new template alignment guides where it's a piece of plastic and it has the image printed on it. And you line up your stamp with the image printed on the plastic, and that tells you where your stamp is going to go into your MISTI. So I thought I could do the same thing myself for this set and maybe some other sets that are a little more difficult to align. And the reason why I want to do this is because I want to use this set. I think it's really pretty. In case you haven't seen it, this is basically what it looks like here. It makes this pomander, and then you can make different color variations. You can put a bunch together, or you can have just one. And of course you can do it in whatever colors you want. They even have this Christmas version with red and green. And these little yellow dots, that's the little bits I'm talking about lining up. They're very hard to line up, at least for me. I don't know if there is some trick to it, but this is my trick. So what I came up with was my templates, and I'm not using plastic. It's not necessary. I just use really cheap cardstock. You don't want to use your good stuff for this because you're not making finished projects out of it. So I just use the cheapy Walmart Georgia Pacific stuff. And basically what I did was I put them in order, and I'm only using my mini MISTI because that's all I need. I'm not doing multiple steps at the same time. I'm just doing one step at a time and then taking it off. So how you do this is the very first thing is the outline stamp, and you just put that anywhere. I kind of put it so it would be in the middle of my cardstock, so that if I want to do stuff around it I can, but then if I want to move around the cardstock, like if I want to do it in my original size MISTI, I can maybe put it at the top or the bottom of the cardstock, and I don't have it, you know, just shoved into one corner. So I kind of put it in the middle. But if you're going to use the dies, it absolutely doesn't matter where you put it. You can line it up in the corner if you want. But I just thought if there's going to be an occasion where I don't want to use the die to cut it out, that I can actually have it in the center and adjust it on my original size MISTI to stamp where I want it. But what you're going to do is just put down your outline stamp. And I have an A2 size card front here. And all I did was I took my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, just because it's just the best black ink I know of for just general purpose. I'm not going to be coloring on it or doing anything on it, so it doesn't matter. The one thing it does is it takes a little while to dry, especially if you do multiple layers, which I did, to get the really dark, crisp impression I got here. I actually stamped it twice so that it would be really easy for me to see through the stamp to see where I'm supposed to be lining it up. So I just put it somewhere, inked it up, stamped it, inked it up again, stamped it again. You're gonna you need a MISTI or another stamp alignment tool for this. It's absolutely necessary. And then what I do is I do that once, then I got another card and I do it a second time, and that's gonna be my model card. What that is it's showing me not necessarily model, but tester. I'm going to test on that to make sure that I'm lining up everything perfectly. But I'm also going to use something else for testing, and I'll show you that in a bit. So after I get my first layer down, it's going to be like this. And this is going to be wherever I put it. And I'm going to take off this stamp because I'm done with that. And I'm going to go and get the first layer, which is the A1 layer. And I'm going to go ahead and line that up on my stamp. And I'm going to stick my head right directly over it. I'm going to line it up as perfectly as I possibly can. I'm going to take all the time I need to line it up. Look at every single piece. Is it lined up correctly? If not, do I need to adjust it just even the tiniest little bit? So I think that's lined up correctly. Now I'm going to make sure this is pressed into the corner. Always make sure it's stuck in the corner. And then I'm going to take this now, and I'm going to get just a piece of template plastic, and I'm going to put that over. You can also use vellum for this. Actually, vellum might be better because it would take the ink just a little bit better than the plastic. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an ink, and let me get actually a darker ink so I can see. I'm going to get any color of ink, and it doesn't matter what color it is. Maybe you want it kind of dark just so you can see it show up on your template plastic. If you use the color that you're actually going to use to stamp with, it might not show up, because I actually would do a light yellow for this layer. So I am just going to stamp that onto my template plastic, and that's going to be how I test. Now I'm going to look through and see, does that look like it's stamped perfectly? Yes, it does. So now what I can do is I can get that tester. And actually, I'm going to do something a little different here. I am going to do the no line technique, and I need to clean off my stamp because that's not the color that I want to use. I'm actually going to start with Altenews, where is it? Here we go, Buttercream. So I'm going to ink that up in Buttercream. It's a nice light yellow, not a bright yellow. It's kind of a little more subdued yellow. It is light though, so I'm going to have to stamp it multiple times, and of course that is perfectly fine because I'm using my MISTI, so I just need to ink that up again. And there we go. That layer is all done. Now what I'm going to do is, after I have stamped that on my tester layer, my tester piece, I'm going to get a blank piece of that same cheapy cardstock. I'm going to clean off my stamp because I don't want to stamp it in light yellow. Make sure it's dry. And then I'm going to get my VersaFine again and stamp that once, twice, or how many times it takes to get me the really darkest, crispest image that I possibly can. And this is what I'm going to come out with. So this was stamped twice. And then I'm going to put down here, this is the A1 layer, and I got that from the plastic itself. Don't know if you can see that there. It says A1. So I put A1 here, so I know that's the A1 step. Now I can take this off, and I'm done with that. Now I'm going to take my A2 layer, which is here. And I'm going to go through that same process that I just did. I'm going to take my, oh, where did I put my outline? I've got so many pieces of cardstock everywhere. Okay, so here. So I take my outline again, and I can line that up. And it's going to be the same thing. I'm actually going to have my tester layer. You will have your tester layer now with the black outline and the light yellow buttercream layer. So it'll be a little bit easier to line up this second layer. And then I'm going to stamp that. And then I'm going to, stamp it on my plastic. Of course, I have to clean off my plastic. Or if you're using vellum, you would just get another sheet of vellum, or you could use the same sheet of vellum, that's fine. But I would do the same thing where I would line up the stamp and then pick it up and stamp it onto my template plastic just to make sure I have it lined up absolutely perfectly. If you don't mind it being a little bit off kilter, all the more power to you. I have this kind of need to make it as perfect as possible. So if that doesn't stamp exactly perfect, I am going to wipe off my plastic, wipe off my stamp, pick it up, position it again, pick it up again, stamp it on my template plastic or my vellum again until I get it absolutely perfectly positioned. Then I'm going to take off that template plastic or vellum and I'm going to stamp with that. I used Warm Sunshine for this detail of the daffodils there, or no, lilies. I think those are lilies. And so each time I line up a stamp, I'm going to get that color, once it's perfect, onto my tester / sample card. And then, of course, again, I'm going to get a blank card, ink up with my VersaFine, stamp, and I get this. And I label it A2. And I'm just going to go through all my layers like that until I get to my very last layer, which is the little bits. And let me show you the card with the little bits. Those are the little bits. They were so hard to line up. I had to do it several times to make sure I lined them up perfectly. But that's the beauty of taking all this time to make these templates, because the next time I want to stamp this set, it's not going to take me any time at all. So how you use the templates is exactly the same thing, but you don't have to line it up on an outline. You don't have to line it up against this. You can actually line it up against the exact stamped image that it is. And that makes it even easier to line up because you can see through the stamp at what point that is perfectly aligned with that image. And so I can pick that up and I know that is perfectly placed to stamp that that layer. So let me get the, what did I say this was? Warm Sunshine. I'm gonna stamp, this is the detail layer for those flowers. And you can see how perfect that is. And now I want to do it again because some parts are just a little bit spotty. And so of course I'm going to make sure that's shoved down in the corner, and that is just absolutely perfect. And I'm so happy with how this system works that I wanted to share it with you all, because I think it's just going to save me so much time and frustration the next time and the next time and the next time I'm going to stamp this. Alternatively, what you could do is you could stamp, you could position your stamp and stamp like 10 and then do your next layer and stamp 10 and keep going like that and make a whole bunch at one time. But I really don't know what I'm going to want to do with them all now. I don't know what colors I'm going to want them in. So I don't want to have to bother with lining them up again. So this is my answer to that. And then I'm going to go through every layer like that. I'm going to do the leaves. The leaves don't have a detail, but then the other flowers, these are the other flowers in the pomander, and this is their detail layer. And then there's the leaves. And then, like I said, those tiny, tiny little dots. And then once you're done, if you have your outline stamped in black first, this is what it looks like when you're done. And I did something different. I did the no line. Well, actually, no, I stamped the first layer in gray just so I could see it and make sure everything was lining up correctly. Although I didn't need to because I have my templates. But then I actually went over at the end and stamped it in a VersaFine sepia ink. vintage sepia to get this look, which I really, really love. I love it more than the black because I think the black is a little harsh, especially for the soft colors I've chosen. So I really, really like how it looks with the detail layer in sepia. So that's all there is to it. And then what I'm going to do is I have them all labeled here. So I'm going to put them in order: A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, and C. And then I'm going to put one of my example cards, because this is going to show me exactly how it's going to end up in this placement. And I'm going to keep that right in the stamped envelope with my stamp set. So anytime I take that stamp set out to use it, I can see I already have templates set up to help me align all those different layers. So I hope this all made sense. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I hope this helps you. Let me know. I'd love to hear back from you guys. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.